worst age to lose your virginity at. That's my current age. That's not good.
What get high now is edibles, because they're perfect now. Edibles are fucking perfect now, because you go to a store, and in that store you're like, hey, how many milligrams is this edible? And the person's like, oh, it's like 200 milligrams for that chocolate bar. When I was in high school, that didn't exist. You would buy edibles from your friends, and you'd be like, how many milligrams is that? And they'd be like, 4 years of shake. That's how many milligrams.
The tree here. Just put on the final star on top. There you go, a nice little Congo Christmas. Yeah, welcome to the show. It's Wednesday. I'm Marijuana Man. This is From Under the Influence. The show that just does not stop. Yeah, I've been doing this a very long time, and thrilled to have been able to do it, gotta say. So yeah, I hope everything's good out there for everybody in the midst of all your wintering. Today, not so winter-like in Vancouver. We're like 9 degrees. Beautiful day. It's been very mild here and not too hard to get along with at all. So I'm here with Anil today and smoke a little weed, say some stuff. I don't know. Yeah, this Christmas tree worked out kind of nice, I think. Yeah, that's covered with Congolese, and a nice version of it, too, I gotta say. It, yeah, drove up to Kamloops, came back, bought it here. No, the shit show continues. Boy, I don't know. I hope the world sees just how bad these people are at doing stuff. The government and all of their departments and friends. Like, isn't that the issue here as well? It's not just cannabis. Cannabis isn't difficult to deal with. It's that they are having so much trouble being able to do this. Like, how lame. How long has it been since they legalized it? 2 months?
Yeah, 2 months.
God, it feels like fucking this has been going on forever. Doesn't it? That's the gauge of something good, is how quickly the time passes. Now it seems like, holy fuck, it was only 2 months ago that marijuana became legal? Oh my God. And it fell apart like instantly. Can you grab me an ashtray? Yeah, it didn't take long for it to just, I don't know, like just become really fucking crazy insane now from every corner of life concerned with it. I don't know, city of Mississauga banned cannabis shops in Mississauga. How do the fucking 10 people on that city council get to speak for the fucking millions that live around there? How is this even possible? Let alone, it's a fucking federal law. Just about everybody and their brothers seems to be able to overturn federal law, except us. How's this happen? City of Vancouver long time ago, 2016, took money from people and gave them a license to do something federally illegal.
For safety.
And nobody thought that there was anything different. What? Like, why? How is this even possible? Still in Canada, still under federal law, how does the city of Vancouver get to fucking do whatever they want? Ooh. And what are they doing then? If they do that openly with cannabis? No, none of them are to be trusted. This is the thing. It's oh yeah. If they had any cannabis, I don't know. They're still saying that the shortages of marijuana are going to be for some time here.
Another year, I think it's 2 years.
Yeah, like, wow. What the fuck? Where? I don't know. It just is laughable that they cannot come up with weed. I don't know. Because they don't know what they're doing. They allowed these people to do stuff and they didn't know what they're doing. Right? These LPs were created for the medicinal marijuana. They were supposed to produce that. Nobody wanted it. Only like 9% of medicinal card holders bought their weed from those guys, the LPs. So the government, in their infinite wisdom, would choose the people who nobody liked. Didn't like their weed, so we didn't buy their weed, so let's make them the providers of the weed. Let's do that. They're already there. Right? Even when they were small, to provide only to the medicinal user, nobody wanted what they produced. They, of course, blamed it on the black market. But I saw their weed. It was fucking horrible. And it's, by and large, still is. Because that's what they grow. That's... Thanks, Health Canada, for choosing those people to be the ones. Like, really? That's how bad that you are at choosing people. In the real world, you'd be fired for having made such a fucking blunder. And no one in the real world would have ever chosen those LPs to become the providers of recreational cannabis. No one would do that in the real world. Why does the government not seem to be in the real world doing what people are already doing? Here in Vancouver, now we're in the throes of the mayor coming out and telling the dispensaries to shut down and get with it, and the jig is up. Like, who's the fucking from the 40s detective novel, for fuck's sakes? Kennedy Stewart, 923, lit a cigarette. Said, the jig is up. Like, really? Like, I don't know, they've just wrecked it now. The province and the feds have wrecked it. They have made it pretty difficult, actually, for the mayor of Vancouver to do much more than what they've said to do. They've made the rules. Right? So you can fall, they just easily fall back on that. It's not us. It's the fucking feds in the province are saying this. You got to close. But I just don't understand the world really, how but nobody wants to have any fun. Shouldn't that be more important than all this other fucking nonsense? It's all about profit. It's just profit. Here, we'll spin the Congo tree while it's snowing. Trichomes are snowing down on top of it. That's where trichomes come from, is the air. They fall onto the tree overnight on Christmas Eve. Oh no, wait. You can't get any weed. No, I don't know. It's fucking crazy. See, eventually people are going to start producing some weed, you think.
Eventually.
I don't know. Like when? What's the hold up here? Nor can you get any seeds. You can barely, I don't know. You can buy a clone. So, yeah, I don't know. They could. It was way easier to do if they aren't crooked, right? Like Trudeau came out and in his yearly Christmas talk, he what did he say? That the resistance to legalization is why there's shortages. Right? The resistance to legalization left them flat-footed when it came to supply. Which makes no sense. I, of course, didn't read the article because I don't care. It just makes me really angry. So, but the headline, and no, it was a quote from the article that I read. But well, that means it would seem to me that the supply shortage has come from the providers of the supply. Is it they who have not been able to deliver? Wasn't that the case? They didn't come up with as much weed as they said they were going to. I read 20%. They only came up with 20% of the weed, and still no more yet. And they're saying there's going to be a shortage for a year. What the fuck? Canopy Growth must have 1 billion fucking square feet. Eh? Aurora, they're so big. I'm like, what the fuck? So, terrible rollout of legislation. What happened? How come nobody's even asking what happened? Because the media doesn't fucking ask that question ever. That's the only word that they won't say is why. It's one of the golden rules of being a journalist, the 5 W's, but not that one. Don't want to be asking that one. It's weird. They do with everything else, but cannabis, holy fuck. Prohibition has just played such a role here on what happens to this poor little plant. To all of us and all of you watching, I'm sure it's absolutely just laughable that anyone even gives a fuck. Like, really? Prohibition has made the world go berserk around cannabis, and it works perfectly for those people who are fucking it up right now. And the reason that it's fucked up is because they've overregulated it. A substance that is so firmly entrenched into a fucking black market, if you will, for all these years. What the fuck are they thinking? Like, really? Plus, they want to dive in and make all the money. Like, wow. Like, what are you thinking? How can this possibly succeed? So, unless there's collusion and corruption, right? Because generally when things don't make sense, there's a very good reason for it. So why is cannabis this fucking drooling billions of dollars industry? Why is it being presented that way? It shouldn't be. It's not in reality. That's prohibition prices they're talking about. What the fuck? Why are we still having to pay prohibition prices for it? Like, really? Oh, right, the media's not going to ask why. But what are they talking about? Why is it such a fucking giant industry? Because they're going to keep the prices at fucking black market and more, is what the plan is. Why don't you raise the price of coffee and make that a fucking, 10 times the billion-dollar industry that it was before? No one would fucking put up with it.
I only drink black market.
Well, I don't like mine black market. I like a little cream in it. I don't know. Mine's 50% grower owned. It's the coffee I drink. More than free trade, it says right on the bag. Yeah, there's extra free trade in every bag. From Thailand. It's the best coffee. Some of the best coffee I've ever had, oddly enough, comes from Thailand. It's called Doi Chang. A friend of mine was in Thailand, sent me a picture of a coffee bar, Doi Chang. She said it's like the Nescafe of coffee in Thailand. So, wow, they must have some killer fucking coffee. Coffee and cannabis have a very long relationship on this planet. Virtually everywhere that good cannabis comes from, so does good coffee. Mexico, Colombia, Hawaii, Jamaica, Southeast Asia. Just about without fail, interestingly enough. So I see the advantage. I don't think you can just smoke this all day and maybe not have a little something keep you up. Hash making regions too, Turkish coffee, all through those areas. No, you gotta stay awake to fucking enjoy the weed. So, I don't know, the mayor of Vancouver, like, my whole life, there has not been one politician that I think has ever stood up and tried to be, I don't know, honest and fair and just, right? Here's the mayor of Vancouver. He's just recently elected. Vancouver, what the fuck? A pretty happening place. And cannabis was just legalized 2 months ago, only 2 months ago. And this guy can't get behind it. He just can't get behind it. You go, wow, like, really? You're missing a branding opportunity there, Mr. Stewart. Is that his last name, Stewart? He's got a last name as a first name and a first name as a last name, so it's a little confusing already. But what a missed opportunity, if you will, a fail. No, but why wouldn't this guy? He knows.
Isn't that why people travel to BC? To smoke the government weed?
BC's famous in Canada for weed. Come on. At least you should know that. And wouldn't you go, wow, can we somehow take advantage of this and show the rest of Canada how fucking great we are at what we're doing? No. Doesn't get behind it at all. BC Bud. If People should fuck off. You even using the term. It's a black market term, means nothing else. BC Bud was nothing. It is nothing. There was no strain that was BC Bud. It was just weed grown in BC. That's it. That's all. So it's all BC Bud, as it will be Alberta Bud and Nova Scotia Bud and, oh, none from the greenhouses across the land. But maybe that's why the LPs don't have any weed. Well, it's winter. Right? Oh, we didn't realize there was going to be winter. So, I don't know. Me, I'd like to have good weed at a fair price and a much better price than you're offering. You have not priced the other market, as we'll call it. I'm tired of it being called the black market. Right? I think the premier of this province referred to the black market as violent and dangerous. What? Maybe parts of it, but not having to do with weed anymore. Everybody grows weed, not the fucking thugs. We overgrew them a long time ago. Huh? Overgrow the government. It says so on my shirt. Just as a reminder to myself when I'm looking in the mirror and I go, wow, I can't read backwards. So yeah, God, legalization. Who would have thought that it would just go into hands of people who don't know anything about cannabis? Could I drum my fingers anymore? They don't know anything about cannabis. That's fucked. Thanks a lot, Health Canada, for doing that. Like, really? Give it to the growers who nobody wanted their weed. Let them massively expand a bad program. Like, really? Well, if we did a quick survey, we would find that these are the worst growers in Canada. So let's not use them. Let's not let them take over and expand by the billion fucking square feet. If you had, God, like really all you needed to do is, I get a GST number, the guy I buy weed from has a GST number. There's a fruit stand a few doors down the street from my dispensary that cranks through fucking fruit and vegetables. Oh my God. People showing up there all day, fucking unloading stuff. So, you know, it's just like a regular van shows up. The guy gets out, gives him a whole bunch of blueberries or whatever, and off he goes. You go, wow. Like, no one cares about that. Isn't it the same thing? Where the fuck did those blueberries come from? Is there some sort of certificate here that tells me that it hasn't been sprayed with pesticides and blah, 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 blah? No. You have no idea. I don't see any need for it to be any different with cannabis. Like, really? Where's all the big problems from people using pesticides on the weed? People have been smoking weed for a long time here. Don't see. People die eventually of stuff. But I don't know if you could... I don't see any rapid decline because you're a big pot smoker with anything. So... And this isn't just one political party doing all this fucking... It's every one of them. They all voted for it. Every member of parliament voted for this fucking bill that legalized cannabis in this fashion. Didn't matter if you were conservative or fucking NDP. I think the conservatives all voted against it because that's what you do. Right? They're playing their role. They're not examining what they're looking at, and right, they're just against whatever that guy's doing because they're against him. Huh, how productive. You see them in the schoolyard fucking just muttering over by the fence. They just mutter all the time. But it's the system that needs to be changed. These people really need to become more accountable for what they're doing and how the money is being dispersed. If you take a look at this deal, the task force was a complete conflict of interest. 5 doctors, 2 cops, headed by a cop, overseen by a lawyer who works for the LPs. That was the task force, and one other guy. Huh?
And what was their task?
Their task was to end up concluding that they needed more money for research and more money for enforcement because of those both of the 2 industries that were represented on the task force. And a lawyer, they're just going to get money no matter what. But that's how that went. You go, wow, like how diverse. And that's what they got. That's what they're getting. Tons of money for the health industry to cry the dangers of cannabis. Do more research looking for more harm. They've been doing it my whole fucking life. Nobody's come up with anything. Why are we letting our government keep giving them money to do it? We should ask them to stop. Somehow, some way, stop doing it. And then there's a whole other faction of the world going berserk, trying to blow marijuana apart into every fucking tiny molecule that they can. To what end? Like, really? Already just bang, it's gotta be this. You don't even have cannabis. Like, so go do that if you want. Leave my weed alone. We kind of like it like this. The way it is presented here on the Tree of Life. Right? That's how we would like to have cannabis. How come we, the people who like cannabis, and have shown the world all these years how much we like cannabis, and we seem to be the ones that aren't going to get cannabis the way we like it. What the fuck happened here? They don't care. Government does not give a fuck about you. Or me, or anyone. They don't. None of them.
No,
So,
protecting kids.
just know that going forward, that this is the case. You know what you're up against. So, it doesn't matter who you vote in. Nobody gets in if they don't play along. For sure, the interests in Vancouver go to the mayor and express what their interests are. Right? And maybe sometimes there's consequences if you don't go along with their interests, depending on who they are, or how much influence maybe they have. So, across the land, it's anybody who has the influence is getting what's going on. So, I don't know. It's crazy. So the reason that the rollout of legalizing cannabis, like, I'm still stunned that it was only 2 months ago. Holy fuck. I don't get it, but it's only 2 months. It feels to me like years this is dragging along this shit. Holy fuck. Maybe I don't get it. Huh. I'll have to look at my calendar. No. The money they're blowing as fast and as hard as they can to ramp up the reefer madness. Like nobody told you to do that, did they? Who's telling you to do this? You're just scraping up as much fucking money as you can get to do stuff now. Like, stop it. Stop letting them do it. Stop wasting all this fucking money around legalizing cannabis. None of the people that are getting the money deserve it and know anything about it. So, what kind of... Don't say to me that you've created an industry, because you have not. Industry... Most other industries actually work. And weren't born in the, billions of dollars fucking on the stock market and exploded into the world. They actually produced a product and became popular as a result of the quality of that. Right? Oh, they don't want to do that. Not at all. And if they do, they want the one that is considered to be the best to cost a lot. Right? They're all still fucking playing around. See, like I said, the term BC Bud is black market weed. That's it, that's all. It's weed that was shipped to the U.S. And they called it BC Bud. And BC Bud was pretty good compared to most other weed that was out there, and way better than almost all of it. So it gained a reputation as being good. BC Bud. So it's just bud grown here, delivered to people who didn't have as good a weed. Now, BC Bud wouldn't fucking mean shit in Oregon right now. Or California. It doesn't matter anymore because they're growing their own. So they can see, they're just, the whole industry so far is full of people who are taking only cannabis from the black market. They're just not dealing with cannabis. So the black market continues, but they're called Canopy Growth and Aurora. They're doing nothing different than what the black market has always done in almost every way, including you buy our fucking weed or you go to jail. We're going to hurt you. You don't buy our weed. It's the same as before, right? In fact, the black market isn't like that, really. Thugs don't control it. They don't. Everyone grows. Lots of people grow. A lot of weed. So, how crooked not to have figured out a way to deal with this, right? Instead of starting at square one and trying to do it all over again with people who don't know anything about it. They're only in it for the money, because that's all they've seen is just giant fucking buckets of money. Undeserved. They've done nothing to deserve any of it. They have done nothing. The fuck has Canopy Growth done? Nothing. It's just business on paper, and I don't see any results. I don't see any world-changing things. What have they don't even have weed now. So now they're all fucking thinking that they should grow it outdoor for us. Now you grow it outdoor and you sell it to all those other countries. Fuck, who cares? No. Don't grow outdoor. Grow really good weed. How about that? Just somebody. Come on. Consistently. I've seen lots of people do it over the years. It is possible. And it's possible to do without pesticides. It's possible to do it organic. It's possible to do lots of things. But since marijuana was plucked out of the prohibition, where under prohibition the most important thing was your yield. Speed and yield was the issue. Get as much fucking weed out of this garage as you can in the quickest amount of time. The cops are coming. Or the weather didn't permit. Weather is very key too. Sometimes it gets too hot in the land. You can't even grow indoor. It gets too fucking hot. Right? So something was coming. So that's exactly how these people are growing. Guaranteed or not, I don't know. They don't seem to have any weed. They don't have any seeds. How the fuck does canopy growth not have any seeds? They got all these companies that they've made a deal with. They're just fucking plucking them away from the world is what they're up to, I think. They think anything that looks like they could compete with them, they're buying it. Like stores in Bickle, they bought that. The owners of Volcano, or the makers of the Volcano and other devices that I'm pretty sure Health Canada has okayed the use of. It's one of the few, if maybe not the only one. Interesting. And now one of their licensees owns that company. Right? It goes around and around. So this is what canopy growth is doing, is business. They're not doing anything for me, the cannabis user. No, they all blame it on how stringent the rules are. Well, really? You can still grow weed under the stringent rules. We did. Oh, the rules are too strict. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? The cops are coming. How strict are those rules? And we still provided all the weed that everybody wanted.
Well, you guys ran out, didn't you?
Not very often. It didn't run out very often. It used to some years ago. It'd be a dry spell in the summer because it was too hot. But that went away. Because very many people are growing weed on fairly large scale. I got to figure. It's not hard to find across the land. So, but the politicians are lazy. They don't want to do the work it might take to try to figure out a way to pull that all together. You know, when I was 17, a very long time ago, the drinking age in Canada was 21. And out of the blue, the government changed it to 18. From 21 to 18, because they said that there was so many people drinking underage that it was made more sense to drop the drinking age to bring those people into the fold. That was their reasoning completely. Said it out loud. Well, so things like this can be done. Now they want to raise the age in Quebec to 21. Out of the fucking blue. The blue. Crazy. And everybody's got a stake in it. So they had a legal challenge here in Vancouver that the ruling came out from that case, and the Georgia Strait, I don't know if they coined this headline or not, but they said in the headline, BC Supreme Court orders Vancouver dispensaries closed. This is what it said, that the BC Supreme Court ordered the dispensaries closed. Well, That, in fact, was not the ruling whatsoever. Supreme Court didn't say one fucking thing about the dispensaries in its ruling. It had nothing to do with the dispensaries. The ruling, see, there it is right there. I almost got it word for word. So they spread this idea throughout the community, and everybody picked up on that headline, and they all used it. When in fact, the ruling had nothing to do with that. The ruling actually said that the city had the right to regulate these dispensaries. That was the issue. That was the question. And the BC Supreme Court said, yeah, they got the right to do that. Didn't say that anything. So, what the fuck? Everybody came out with this headline. This morning, here, let's read the first fucking paragraph there. This morning, the BC Supreme Court ordered all illicit cannabis dispensaries operating in Vancouver to close their doors or face penalties. They did not. The Supreme Court did not fucking do that at all. The city did. Because everybody ran that headline. Not the city doing it. Supreme Court ordered them closed. Supreme Court actually gave you permission to keep them open. Is what they did, didn't they, at the same time? The ruling was that the city of Vancouver has the right to regulate cannabis dispensaries. Huh. So this is how they report the news in a completely fucking skewed aspect. Team black market. Fuck them. I don't think I heard that term before. And really it was a stupid case anyway. Pardon my French. You don't go and ask if they have the right to do it, because they always will say they do. Come on, it's the city of Vancouver. They have the right to over-fucking-ride federal drug laws, for God's sakes, and take $30,000 from anybody who wants to play. No questions asked. Of course they have the right to do that. So... I don't know. It costs a lot of money to fucking come up with this shit from the dispensary's point of view. I don't know what they're going to do here. Like they're too mired in over-regulation and stupid, unnecessary regulation. They're too mired in that to overcome it now. They fucked it all up. And they're wrecking the culture and wrecking the weed is what they're doing. And this may have been their plan all along. Let's try and figure out how to take it away from these people and ruin it. Huh. All right. It should be about, the question shouldn't be if they have the right to do it, but is it dangerous? How about let's start asking this question here. Let's get these people to prove the danger reflecting this regulation, over-regulation that they have. No one's asking them to do that. Is it dangerous enough to do that with it? Why doesn't somebody ask them that? Quit asking them easy questions. The law is a tricky thing. You and me don't get to play. We get to pay. Right? And they fumble around on words and not really get down to the fucking meat of the matter because they're restricted by how and where and who and my good friend they call each other, and charge large for this language they've created. that only they know. Huh? But nevertheless, I do potentially, well, of course, one could appeal this decision, but fucking that'll cost you the same. It's a lot of dough. So I don't know. The city is, the mayor is going, well, you got to get on board. And then in reality, you do. It's not like, I don't know. I don't even know what to do anymore. I want to. I would like to stay open to just to show this is the way it should and can be, not the way that you have proposed it and think it is necessary to be. Like, really, these dispensaries have operated for a long time without incident. No incidents, for God's sakes. Nothing bad has happened as a result of this taking place. Oh, you could get robbed. Yeah, but not nearly as often as convenience stores get robbed, or gas stations, or a whole long list of places that get robbed more than cannabis stores first that no one gives a shit about. So, right? It's not really about that. They just have hated cannabis for so long or something. I don't know what's happened. You can't let go. You're addicted to hating cannabis. I'll CBD in you later. So, I don't know. It's not like I can't imagine that they're ever going to turn around and at the end of the day and go, okay, well, you guys just keep doing what you're doing. Really, like, fishing and trapping has the most fucking deaths. But, like, where's the harm? Like, we've got to start really challenging these people on where's the harm. Show us that, and then continue. If you want to keep doing this, like, you can't be just saying there's harm or potential of harm. Fuck off. That's not right. Keep things out of our world just because you have made up a potential of harm? Wow, there's a potential of harm in fucking everything. If you think about it. Come on. How could this stand to any reasonable test that cannabis is being regulated based on its harm? That's what the whole program relies upon. Their whole stance is that there's potential harm. So, come on, you legal eagles. Why don't you come up with a concept to challenge that position? And we'll get out from under this once and for all. Can't we just show the world that this is not harmful, doesn't need to be overregulated, and we'll see you later? But they got their greedy hooks into it now, haven't they? Huh? And of course, on it goes. So,
no fatal limit for THC in occupational health and safety regulation.
well, there is no fatal limit.
Risk?
But see, people are also so mired into the medical world that, oh, doctor tells me everything. I do everything the doctor tells me, right? It's a fairly dangerous thing to do, I think. These people are not safe to be around. I have no doctors on my Facebook. No way. No, I don't know what's going on in the world, but I think the doctors have probably caused more people to be sick than sick has caused people to be sick. Where the fuck are all these diseases and horrible afflictions coming from? How come nobody's even asking that? Isn't it important? I figured out how to examine our health and overcome our health problems, I think. And that's by looking at why our children are sick. Wouldn't that be easier? They've only been around for a few years, and all of a sudden they got cancers and fucking all these diseases and shit. How's this happening? You should be able to figure it out when it's just a kid. They haven't had a lot of influences in their life to, right? It's all about the environment. Conditions. Just like cannabis. Read some article too about these pinheads that they're mapping the cannabis genome. You know what they found? It's cannabis. Like, so what? And how do you know? How do you know that was the one? Whatever you tested is the one you tested. You didn't test all cannabis to see if there's something different. Oh, well, let's go test that dog. As a representation of every dog. Every breed. No, well, it doesn't matter anyway. But here's another goofy thing they came up with. They are suggesting the difference between hemp and high THC producing cannabis was as a result of a virus millions of years ago. Really? One of the people involved in this was from Aurora. Huh. Mapping the genome. Right? Setting the stage, as they suggested, to open up potential particular breeding possibilities of fucking blah, 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 blah. I don't know. They think there's some exactness that's necessary here with cannabis, not at the level of growing the fucking weed. Really, there's no exactness. We don't need it. It's not that strong. What the fuck? Are people smoking weed out there and going berserk? Not able to function? Can't answer their phone? Right? Can't put on their shoes to go out? Is this possible? Like, if you choose not to, the fucking house is on fire, you can get dressed pretty quick. Right? So, you know, we too in the cannabis culture, we make a fairly strong case for how strong cannabis is and how high we get. But it's not really that way. It's no different than coffee, really, for me. You can only get so high on cannabis if you're used to it. Like, if you're not used to it, that's your fault. Right? I don't have to justify the strength of the cannabis that I consume because somebody is a novice at it. Like, fuck off. I don't go into a bar and say, give me that Jack Daniels that doesn't get you drunk. Or demand that they have one. So the world is being run by people who have never grown, don't know anything about weed, and people who... Oh, Al's here. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Rose. That's fairly poetic. Yes. What was I talking about? Before I was interrupted by a puppet? The
I
little
think
puppet?
you wanted the alcohol-free alcohol at the bar. It's the medical liquor doesn't get you too much.
Well, yeah. So, the first time that you sit down and drink a half bottle of Jack Daniels, tell me what you think. And then, instead of bitching that a few puffs on cannabis got you too high, I had to go to the hospital. Are you fucking kidding me?
To go there and wait.
Stop it. Stop going to the hospital. You don't need to. The only thing that goes on here that people can't handle, it would seem, is that their heart rate increases. Right? It generally doesn't happen in the day. And when it does, you're a little concerned. So, that concern increases your heart rate even more. And you get to anxiety and anxiousness. That's all it is. Till that wears off. So, if people were more real about the effects of cannabis rather than going to the hospital, come on. What kind of fucking bug might you have caught at the hospital that night? Just by being in there. Come on. Hospitals are dangerous places to go. So, it's all a crapshoot. Yeah, we sang a lot of Christmas carols before the show today. Wow, look at that. More trichomes raining down on the cannabis. They scientists said the difference between hemp and high THC producing cannabis was because of a virus millions of years ago. Did I make that clear?
Thank you, virus. So say thank you.
Really?
Thanks.
How in the fuck would you ever know that? Is it... You could say anything happened millions of years ago. Who's going to check that? Eh? I think it was by a guy named Dave millions of years ago. Before humans, a guy named Dave Still was responsible for the difference between hemp.
Thanks, Dave.
He was the first guy that said, hey, you want some of the good shit?
You've been smoking hemp? Check this out.
Yeah, don't smoke that hemp anymore. This is a little more expensive, dude, but it's so killer. Killer Kush. Death Bubba. Oh yeah, the claims that we make around the strength and the devastation. I don't know. I smoke Death Bubba. It doesn't death me. It's more like you end up bubbed. But it does not put me to sleep. People just by the millions come in and ask for weed that will help them sleep. And you go, I don't know. Don't know. It increases your heart rate. Any weed will help you sleep because once your heart rate comes down, you kind of crash. That's the couch lock part. Indicas, in my experience, that happens quicker than sativas, but still happens with sativas eventually, unless you got another joint. It's in direct relationship to that. How sleepy is this? Well, how many joints you got? That's my conclusion. So, I didn't suggest at all anywhere in the program that I would have conclusions, but I do. So stay out there promoting cannabis as a safe, healthy product that needs very little regulation, and any opportunity you get, ask them to prove otherwise. And perhaps we will get over this rainbow. Al, he's out in the prairies, up to his armpits in snow, I would have to think, cold. And just about everybody else, too, out there in wintertime. So keep warm. And I hope that you have a fun and safe holiday season. I guess we won't see you till after Christmas. Is that right? When's Christmas? Like a month, isn't it? Huh? Maybe in the new year. Second we'll be back.
No hotboxing show?
Well, unless we can find a tech. Maybe Alyssa will come in as a rogue. We'll see. She might not know how to do it now.
Oh, Saturday.
Oh, she has her own show. Oh, well. Well, we'll have to start making the deal now. Start negotiating now. So anyway, I do hope you have a healthy and happy Christmas and get a Congo tree just like this one. I'm Marijuana Man. Peace on earth and pot.
You guys ready to start the show? 24 years old. That's the worst age to lose your virginity at. That's my current age. That's not good.
Everybody at high now is edibles because they're perfect now. Edibles are fucking perfect now because you go to a store, in that store you're like, hey, how many milligrams is this edible? And the person's like, oh, it's like 200 milligrams for that chocolate bar. When I was in high school, that didn't exist. You would buy edibles from your friends and you'd be like, how many milligrams is that? And they'd be like, 4 years of shake. That's how many milligrams.